Welcome back to my solo D&D channel. After a very long break, I present Adventures in Randomia, episode 17. First, I just want to say thank you for all your amazing comments and requests to see more of my videos. Your support has encouraged me to come back and start creating again. In this episode, the party leaves Everpool, heading west on their quest to reach the Lumins school at the behest of the wizard's ghost. On the way, they offer help to a stranger that they meet on the road. I hope you enjoy it, and please do let me know in the comments. Last time, our party uncovered the activities of a smuggling ring, the Night Shift, and their importing of weapons in the form of orbs containing magical spells. Further evidence hinted that this smuggling was under the direction of the corrupt head of the Everpool region, Lady Seraphina Blackmore. As their journey takes them towards the west, the party agrees to accompany a member of the investigative journalist group, the Quillians, to present their evidence of Seraphina's potential treason and warmongering to the highest authority in Randomia, the Council of Seven. As the three members of our party retrace their steps from the Dusty Quill to the Everfleet Inn, they all fall silent, as they consider how far they have come, as well as the journey that lays before them. Freya is excited for further adventures. She has just managed to sell the hall from the ruined castle for a tidy sum, and is looking forward to discovering what the next leg of their journey will bring as they head further west. However, she also starts to feel a twinge of homesickness for the first time since she and Clarissa left their homeland of Alistara. She reflects that Clarissa is hoping to find her Tabaxi kin in the south of Randomia, and that Connor has recently heard of his family in Donamara to the west. However, with every step she, Freya, takes, she is moving further and further away from home and family. She shakes her head. "Don't be silly, lass," she whispers to herself, and she imagines how proud all her family are going to be when she returns as a heroic adventurer. Connor is mulling over the news of his family conveyed by Captain Baldric on the Frosty Maiden. He had always known his family had originated from Donamara in the west, but that was generations ago. Now it seems there are O'Fallons out there who may be distant cousins of his. Then he recalls the darker side of the story, the talk of madness in the family, and whether there is a link with his own unique talents as a sorcerer. Clarissa is still feeling confused after recent events. Her shock at the destructive extent of her powers in the battle with the pirates aboard the Frosty Maiden, combined with her guilt that Wilfred had nearly died due to her opting not to accompany the others to the Smuggler's Cove. Every moment alone had seen her praying to her deity, or Manator, but to little avail, and she felt more lost than ever and in need of guidance. The three of them return to have a quick lunch at the Everfleet Inn before deciding what they need for the journey out into the Dunlin Hills to the west of Everpool. They have been advised by the Quillians that the shores of Lake Illuminata are a good distance away, at least 80 miles by the most direct route. "Oh, we should get a horse and cart," says Freya. "I used to love driving carts back in the Iron Peaks, though they were pulled by rams, not horses. And we'll need to get food supplies for the trip, as I don't suppose there'll be many inns to stop at along the way." "Yeah, and I need to get a tent if we're going to be camping out on the trip," says Connor. "What about you, Clarissa? Do you need to get any supplies for the road?" Clarissa jumps as if being snapped out of a dream. "What were you saying, Freya?" "What do you need for the journey, Clarissa?" "Oh, well, I was just thinking that what I really need is some spiritual guidance." "Oh, right," replies Freya, rather bemused. "Maybe there's a temple you can go to." They consult with Yvonne, the owner of the Everfleet Inn, as to where they might find what they need. So we roll the dice to discover what shops are available to them in Everpool. For a food and drink seller, we roll the quality of poor. Yvonne says, "Well, you'll be farmer's market today, so I'd say that's your best bet. It may not be the fanciest food, but it's sure good value. You'll find stalls set up in the Haymarket Square." For adventuring supplies, we roll medium quality. "Oh yes, there's a wee shop in the Merry Mile called the Hero's Haven. It's a bit limited on stock, but it should have the basics." For vehicles, we also roll a medium. "Oh, you'll be wanting to talk to Brenna Wainwright at the Western Gate. You'll be able to purchase or hire a horse and cart from her." Finally, for the religious temple, we roll a 3, which is an atrocious quality. "Oh, will you be able to look on that one?" says Yvonne. "Lady Seraphina Blackmore has closed all the temples down since her rule here. Most people with that inclination have moved away years ago." Yvonne thinks for a second. "Although I have seen a bunch of religious types running a stall from time to time in the flea market. They sell religious paraphernalia and are always handing out pamphlets. Maybe you could try them." Freya and Connor head off together to purchase food for the journey. as well as more adventuring supplies, before going to find the stables on the western side of town. Meanwhile, Clarissa wanders over to the flea market in the hopes of finding the religious stall that Yvonne spoke of. She takes the narrow turning of Granby Street off the Merry Mile, and soon finds herself in a dingy town square filled with various stalls selling second-hand items and dubious antiques. She walks around, still deep in thought, as the stall owners ply their wares. "Hello, Ducky," says one of the stall owners as she passes. "You look like you could do with a bit of cheering up. How about this pretty flower vase?" "Oh, no thanks," says Clarissa, as the stall owner holds a cracked and faded piece of pottery. "Actually, maybe you could help me." "Yes, of course, Ducky. What can I do you for?" "Well, I've heard of a religious group running a stall here. Do you know where I can find them?" So we roll the dice to find out about our third faction in the city of Everpool. On the faction table, we roll a 7, which is a religious group of missionaries or crusaders. And then we roll the keywords of river, lounge, toss, and fancy. "Arr, you mean the Brightwater bunch. I don't see 'em round here today. They have to keep a low profile with Lady Seraphina's policies. Odd bunch. When they are here, you can't miss 'em. They wear really bright, fancy clothing. Hang on, I think I've got one of their pamphlets here somewhere." She pulls out a single sheet from a stack of papers. She has clearly been using it to tot up prices for customers, as there are numbers scrawled on the back. "There you go, Ducky, and good luck finding them." Clarissa thanks the stall owner and decides to get out of this seedy area before sitting down to read the pamphlet. She stuffs the paper into her pocket and heads back out towards the Merry Mile and then back to the inn. Up in her room, Clarissa carefully flattens out the crumpled piece of paper and scrutinises it. At the top of the sheet is the image of a fish jumping out of a flowing river. The water appears to be glowing with light. She reads, "To all those who are lost and searching, join us at the Ring of Bright Water. Come to our temple on the banks of the River Brightwater and experience the miracles and healing of the waters. Rest in our temple lounge and toss a coin into the waters for good luck and protection. We offer guidance for all those seeking a new path." Clarissa gazes silently at the image of the fish jumping from the golden glowing water. She says, "Where is this River Brightwater?" She pulls out her map of Randomia and unrolls it on the desk. She scans the detail of the region around Everpool and spots the River Brightwater to the south, with the settlement of Blytheport at the mouth. She can see that they will need to go to Blytheport in order to cross the lake to reach Midloch, where the Council of Seven resides. She nods and rolls the map up again. With all their shopping completed, the party spends a final restful night at the inn before heading out on their journey. With all their recent adventures of uncovering the lizard folk thief killer, defending the Frosty Maiden from pirates, and tracking down a group of smugglers, the party has now reached level 5. Next morning, the party bids farewell to Yvonne and heads out with bulging backpacks to walk to the western gate of the city, where the horse and cart secured by Freya is ready and waiting for them. As they approach, they can see the Quillian, Wilfrid, is already there. His slight, lanky form is bowed down with a very heavy backpack. The three of them greet him. "Oh, Wilfrid, what the heck have you got in that pack?" says Freya. "Ah well, all the essentials, you know. Bedroll, tent, rations." And he proceeds to list off more adventurous items than most of them have ever heard of. "Well, good to be prepared, Wilfrid," says Connor. "I'm looking forward to having you along for the journey." They pile all the gear onto the back of the cart. Freya and Clarissa sit up front, with Freya in the driving seat, and Connor and Wilfrid clamber into the back. Before long, they are passing through the western gate and out into the rolling Dunlin Hills. So we roll for a weather check. We get a 13. It is a clear and warm day in early summer. "Which routes are we going to take?" asked Wilfrid. "I've heard that the track through the hills passes through Bandit country, so it could be dangerous." "Oh, no, we'll be fine," says Freya. "Me and Clarissa have checked the map, and we're going to take the most direct route through the hills. It's beautiful weather. It'll be great to camp out under the stars." "Well, that was before we heard that it's right in the middle of Bandit country," replies Clarissa. "The main road goes a long way south, and we don't want to waste time going that way," says Freya. Connor joins in. "I think we can handle ourselves with a few bandits, Wilfrid. Don't worry, I'll protect you." Freya flicks the reins, and the horse breaks into a slow trot, and the cart rolls forward along the rutted track. Ahead of them, the cart track winds gently through the rolling hills. Dotted along the landscape are small copses of trees, oak, ash and birch, whose leaves glimmer in the morning sunlight. Patches of wild flowers bloom alongside the track, which winds out of sight behind a low hill. In the distance, the hills merge into the horizon, shrouded by a fine mist. So on this journey, we're going to check the terrain and roll for an encounter once every 10-mile hex. For the first hex, we roll on the hills terrain table and we get a 15, which is continuing hills. We then roll for an encounter. We get a 44, so this part of the journey is uneventful. The group enjoys a pleasant ride through the rolling hills. The bright warm sunshine creates a positive, hopeful atmosphere amongst the party. Freya chats excitedly about the possible new adventures they're about to have, while Clarissa sits quietly surveying the landscape. In the back, Connor and Wilfred are having a deep technical discussion about the use of lockpicks. After a few hours, they take a short break for some lunch, and then head off again deeper into the hills. For the second hex, we again roll on the hills terrain table and get a 37, which is continuing hills. We then roll on the encounter table and get a 20, so this means there is an event. We roll on the wilderness encounter table and discover that they meet an NPC who gives information about a possible quest. We then roll on the quest generator table for more detail. We get a 79, which is a worthy creature's life is threatened, and then we roll a 30, which means a rescue. As they round the bend, a short, stocky figure sitting by the side of the track comes into view. As soon as he hears the cart, he jumps up and starts waving and calling to them. "Hello! Help! Over here!" he shouts. "Oh, wait! No, it can't be!" cries Freya. "I don't believe my eyes! It's a mountain dwarf! Oh, I feel like I'm back in the Iron Peaks again!" Clarissa looks at Freya in surprise as she detects a slight tremble in the young dwarf's voice. As the cart draws up, the male dwarf looks up in surprise and then joy as he sees Freya. "Oh, lass, you're a lifesaver. You've come along at just the right moment. Sylvanas be praised. I don't recognise you though. Where are you from?" "I'm Freya Wildhammer of the Iron Peaks clan," she says proudly. "Me and my friend Clarissa here have travelled across the sea from the land of Alistara." "Well, I never," says the dwarf. "I'm Derek Wins here. But there's no time for pleasantries now. I need your help." Connor then bobs up from the back of the cart. "What's going on, Freya? Why have you stopped?" "Oh, Connor, there's another mountain dwarf here. I didn't even know there were dwarves in Randomia. And he needs our help." "Right." Connor looks the dwarf over. "What is it you need, dwarf?" "Well, I was travelling back to my village to the west after a morning's hunting when I was jumped by a group of bandits. They'd taken all my things and my most prized possession, my hunting eagle, my beautiful cloud wing. Raised and trained her from a wee chick, I did. I tried to fight them off, but there were just too many of them." "And what did they want with your eagle?" asked Clarissa. "Well, eagles are very rare in these parts, and their feathers are very prized. They flung her in a cage and went off up that path to their camp. I'm so scared they're going to kill her and take her feathers to sell." "Oh, that's awful," cries Freya. "Of course we'll come and help you." And before the others can say anything, Freya has jumped down off the cart and is moving towards the path up the hill. "Come on, show us the way. We'll have Cloudwind back for you in no time." Connor glances at Clarissa as if to question this bold action, but they both know there will be no stopping Freya in this. "Come on, Wilfred. Seems it's time for action. I hope you've got some weapons along with all that kit." Wilfred pulls out a hand crossbow and a small dagger. Clarissa, Connor and Wilfred follow Freya, who is now stomping firmly up the hill with her new friend beside her. As Clarissa catches up, she can see from the cuts and bruises on his face that the dwarf has been beaten up a bit. "Oh, let me heal you," she says, and she casts Cure Wounds. Then she asks, "How are we going to approach this rescue? We should have a plan." "Let's just charge in," says Freya. "We can take them. We can clear the camp and rescue the bird, and then take any loot they have. They're just dirty bandits." Connor joins in. "Well, I can stealth in, find the bird, unlock the cage, or wherever it's being held. If there's trouble, I can use invisibility and get out again." "Well, I think we should round them up," says Clarissa, "and hand them over to the authorities. Connor, you could use your sleep spell on them. Then we rescue the bird." Then Wilfred adds, "Well, maybe we could just talk to them, find out if there's anything they need. Could we trade with them?" "All right," says Freya. "We'll start with seeing if they'll talk. If not, we threaten them. Maybe rough them up a bit to make them see sense." The party ascends the track through the trees and soon sees a small compound up ahead, surrounded by a wooden palisade. There appears to be only one entrance at the northwestern end. As soon as the compound is within sight, they all use stealth as they approach, and Connor moves ahead. "Let me creep in first to scout the place, get an idea of how many there are and where the bird is." The party moves carefully through the trees towards the camp entrance, with Connor a few paces ahead. Inside the camp, close to the gate, a wooden tower rises above the palisade, giving a great view of the path and surrounding trees. Connor can see a single bandit hunter sitting atop the tower, her wolf companion beside her. So he rolled for stealth. Connor gets a 13, Clarissa a 19, and Freya and Wilfred an 8. The bandit hunter's passive perception is 12. Connor manages to slip unnoticed through the bushes and into the entrance beneath the tower. However, Freya and Wilfred's low rolls mean that they make a noise which attracts the lookout's attention. So we roll an active perception check for her. She rolls a 16 and can see everyone except Clarissa lurking behind amongst the bushes. She raises her crossbow. "Halt!" she shouts. "What are you lot doing, trying to sneak into our camp?" The wolf by her side raises its hackles and starts to growl. Hearing the noise, 2 other bandits from the nearby campfire also approach. Connor is now confronted by 3 bandits. Connor raises his hands. "It's okay, I think there's been a bit of a mix-up. You're holding the pet eagle of a hunter friend of ours. We've come here to ask you to return it to its rightful owner." The scout laughs. "And why should we do that?" "Oh, if you don't, we're gonna make you," replies Connor. "Oh yes? You and whose army?" And she laughs again. And then she calls, "Hey, Chief, look at this rabble that has walked into our camp." The bandits roughly shove Connor, Freya and Wilfred forward. They can now see that there are 8 bandits in the camp, a mixture of fighters and hunters with pets. In the hut on the far side is the bandit leader, with what appears to be a halfling mage sitting close by. On hearing the shout, the leader swiftly jumps up and walks towards them with a menacing swagger. "What the heck is going on here?" he shouts as he approaches. Connor raises his hands again and explains that they are here to rescue the eagle, which is the hunter's pet. Well, how about these guys? People just walking in here to hand us their loot. Doing our job for us, eh?" The other bandits laugh. "Well, seeing as you're so altruistic-like, we could just take all your valuables in exchange for the eagle. Or maybe we just keep the eagle and take all your valuables anyway." "You're not taking any of my loot," shouts Freya, and she brandishes her great axe. "Oh, the wee little dwarfy wants a fight, eh?" "Yeah, I think you got it wrong, mate," says Connor. "We're the ones that are going to be doing the taking." We roll an intimidation check for Connor. He gets an 11. "Ha, you scraggly runts, don't threaten me. You're gonna regret this," shouts the bandit captain. "Get them, boys." So we roll for initiative. Connor takes the lead. He shouts, "No, mate, you're going to be the one with regrets." Connor casts his newly learnt spell of Fireball. The blazing ball of fire crashes onto one of the campfire areas where 3 bandits are standing. The blast engulfs the 3 bandits, and they are instantly killed. The nearby tents are set ablaze, collapsing under the heat into charred heaps of ash and smouldering fabric. The bandit captain, standing just on the edge of the explosion, is also caught in the blast. Though he manages to dodge the worst of the flames, he still takes half damage. Much of his leather armour is singed, and his face is smeared with soot. "Wow, Connor!" shouts Freya with excitement. "I've not seen that spell before. That's amazing." "Yeah, it's a new one I just learned." "Good, innit?" replies Connor. Clarissa, unseen at the camp gate, gasps and looks in despair at the immediate destruction. At that point, Connor experiences a surge of wild magic. The magical energy surges up his body and makes every hair on his head stand on end for a moment, and then suddenly it all falls out. Freya laughs loudly as Connor clutches at his head for a moment. The bandit captain shakes off the explosion and then shouts at Connor, "How dare you walk into our camp and attack us?" "Well, you did have your chance to cooperate," replies Connor. The halfling mage reacts swiftly to the chaos erupting in the camp. A shimmering mist forms around her as she casts Misty Step. She vanishes and reappears not far behind the captain. She scurries further forward, clutching her staff, and casts Charm Person. Her delicate fingers weave an intricate pattern in the air as she calls out to Connor. However, he shakes his head and easily resists the spell. "Ooh, clever little mage," he says, "but you'll not affect me that easily." The bandit captain roars in anger and charges towards Connor. His scimitar gleams in the light of the burning tents as he swings it down in a deadly arc, aiming directly for the sorcerer's chest. However, Connor reacts quickly. He flicks his wrist and conjures his magical shield. A shimmering translucent barrier flares into existence, which the scimitar bounces off of with a sharp ring. Frustrated, the captain growls through gritted teeth and lunges again, but his swing is wild and clumsy, missing Connor entirely as his blade slices through the air. Desperate to land a blow, the captain draws a wicked dagger from his belt and thrusts it at Connor in a last-ditch attempt. But again, the blade is deflected by the magical shield. Freya flies into a rage. Her eyes blaze with fury as she grips her massive great axe and charges headlong at the bandit captain. She brings her axe down with a mighty crack. The blade finds its mark, sinking deep into the captain's side. The sheer force of the critical blow staggers him, nearly driving him to his knees. The bandit captain cries out in pain and anger. He shouts, "Who are you people? How dare you do this to us?" It is now Wilfred's turn. He is shaking with fear, but manages to keep his wits about him. He attempts to climb over a stack of barrels to reach some bushes about 15 foot away. However, his foot slips and he topples forward with an awkward grunt, landing unceremoniously in the bushes. He quickly scrambles to his feet and tries to steady his trembling hands as he shoots his crossbow at the halfling mage. However, she instinctively casts shield. A shimmering magical barrier flares into existence, deflecting the bolt harmlessly into the dirt. "Damn it," whispers Wilfred as he ducks behind the bushes to hide. Now it's the bandit's turn. "Kill these bastards!" the bandit captain roars. A bandit fighter, emboldened by his captain's words, steps up behind Connor, his blade in hand. With a sharp intake of breath, he raises his scimitar high and brings it down with a perfectly timed strike. The blade flashes in the morning sun and cuts through the glowing magical barrier of Connor's shield. It delivers a shallow but stinging cut into Connor's side. From an upper area of the camp, a second bandit fighter leaps down and positions himself for line of sight between two tents. He shoots with his light crossbow at Connor, but the bolt flies wide, whistling harmlessly past his shoulder before embedding itself with a dull thud into a nearby tree. Two bandit hunters, standing back with bows slung across their shoulders, whistle sharply and gesture towards the raging Freya. Their companion wolves snarl and leap into action. The first wolf lunges at Freya, jaws snapping wildly, but her agile sidestep causes the wolf to clamp down on empty air. The second wolf, however, finds its mark. With a vicious leap, it sinks its teeth into Freya's forearm. However, she barely flinches as the pain is dulled by her rage. From the far side of the camp, the final bandit hunter runs forward, taking care to keep clear of the blazing tent. She takes careful aim and shoots her crossbow at Freya. The bolt streaks through the air with a faint whistling sound and thunks into Freya's thigh. Freya grits her teeth to resist the pain. Meanwhile, Carissa has been watching all the action from her hidden position at the gate. With a quick leap, she springs up onto a stack of barrels, her feline agility carrying her effortlessly to the higher vantage point. "Enough of this madness," she mutters, as she casts whole person at the third level, targeting both the captain and the mage. Tendrils of magical energy shimmer and weave through the air like threads of golden light, reaching out toward the two bandits to bind their movements. However, both of them manage to resist. Carissa's ears flatten in frustration as the golden light dissipates, leaving her efforts fruitless. "Damn it," she whispers under her breath. "I just want you all to stop fighting." She sighs as she casts spiritual weapon. A shimmering golden cat's paw appears in the air just above the bandit captain. With a swift swipe, the radiant claws lash downwards, raking across his shoulder. Startled, the captain looks up to see Carissa and shouts, "Ye gods, they have a bloody magical cat too?" "Had enough yet," says Connor as he jumps away from the two bandits in melee with him. "Never," hisses the captain through gritted teeth. "We still outnumber you." Both bandits get opportunity attacks as Connor leaps away. They swipe with their scimitars, but both miss him. Connor then uses a sorcery point to split his energy into two bolts of roiling, unpredictable chaos magic, one aimed at the bandit captain and the other at the halfling mage. The chaos bolts transform into lightning strikes, which crackle and arc as both targets are hit. The bandit captain is badly wounded. He is starting to slump and sway. He glances back at the halfling mage and sees she is also severely wounded, stumbling backwards and clutching at her chest. The air crackles with sparks as the wild magic surges again with the use of such power, and Connor regains an expended spell slot. "Stop! Stop! Enough!" gasps the captain. "I don't know who you people are, but take the damn eagle and get out of here. You others, stand down! Put those fires out!" "Finally, you see some sense," says Connor. "So where's the bird?" "In the cage in that corner. Here's the key." The captain fumbles in his pocket and throws a small iron key at Connor's feet. Connor grabs the key and walks towards the cage. Freya shouts, "Wilfred, come help me put these fires out!" And they both start to help the others to douse the burning tents. Carissa jumps down and runs over to the captain and casts Cure Wounds on him, and then on the mage. Wilfred looks at the halfling mage with curiosity. He approaches her. "What are you doing here with these bandits? I know one of your kind in Everpool. She's a good friend of mine." Bandits? We're not bandits, she says. We're rebel freedom fighters trying to escape the tyranny of the Everpool government. What? Replies Wilfred. But why are you stealing these things? You took the eagle, and your captain wanted all of our valuables. Well, yeah, times are hard, and sometimes we have to live like bandits to survive. If only Lady Seraphina Blackmore could be taken down, then we could return to the city and live normal lives. Wilfred then relays the story that they have evidence which could take their despotic leader down. Bandit Captain overhears this. What's that you say? You're actually on our side? And there we will leave our party for now, in the aftermath of the battle with the Dunlin Hills bandits, and the growing realization that there may be more to this unruly band than they had originally thought. Tune in again next time to find out where this story goes.